my name is Steven, and today I'll be going over how to set up a terrarium for a bearded dragon. I've been raising my bearded dragon Spike for almost 2 years now, and I've done extensive research on what is required to have a bearded dragon thrive. First of all, I'll talk about the enclosure here. What's recommended is a 40-gallon enclosure for an adult-sized bearded dragon. What I have here is actually a 60-gallon enclosure. I like the slightly larger enclosure, it gives me more space for my furniture, which we'll go over later. The next thing we'll go over is going to be the substrate. Substrate is what goes in the bottom or the flooring of your terrarium. Now, most pet stores will actually sell you a loose type of sand, which is actually very bad for bearded dragons. Because they are messy eaters, when they eat, they tend to ingest a lot of sand. Too much sand in their system will actually cause impaction, which is a stoppage in the bowels, which can actually lead to death, which is a very serious problem. What I use here is it's called a sand mat. It's actually large pebble-type sand on a rubber mat, so that you can't ingest it. It also gives the terrarium a very natural look to it. We'll go ahead and just put the substrate in here. As you can see, it's very easy to put in. It just lays right in the bottom. They come in a variety of sizes. This one was actually cut down to fit in my terrarium as it was a little too wide for the terrarium. But as you can see, it fits in there pretty well. Next thing we're going to go over is the food and water bowls. The water bowl I use came in a kit with a food bowl. The water bowl I use is shallow. You want to make sure it's deep enough so that they can drink out of, but shallow enough so they're not going to drown in. It's also needs to be large enough so they can get most of their body into the water to help cool them down if they do get too hot in your terrarium. Now, it's recommended to put the water bowl on the cooler side so it doesn't evaporate too quickly. My cool side is on this side of the terrarium. Now we'll go over the food bowl. It's a little bit deeper than the water bowl, a little bit smaller. It works out great for putting salads or worms in that the bearded dragons do eat. Placement in here really doesn't matter. I tend to put it in the middle. It's more of a centralized location where you can get to it. Next we'll look at the furniture. There's a very wide variety of furniture that you can get for bearded dragons. The first thing I'll go over is called a hiding hole. Bearded dragons like to have little enclosures where they can hide in. First thing we started with was this enclosure, this rock. It's hollow on the inside, as you can see. It worked great when he was smaller. As he grew, we needed to replace it because it just got too small for him to actually fit in comfortably. We upgraded to these hollow logs here. Here's a smaller one we started with, and the large one that we now use. As you can see, it's much bigger than the other ones. Really, where you place your furniture is up to you. It's more of an aesthetics thing, but how it looks to you, the most appealing look to you is really what you're looking for here. Next thing we're going to go over is going to be climbing logs. Now there's a wide variety of logs that you can get. These are the two that I've had throughout the process of raising my bearded dragon. This is the larger one that I use now. This is the smaller one that we started with. Here, what we use is called treated grapevine. These are great because they've already been treated by the factory to get rid of any bugs, mites, or any other dangers such as insecticides or pesticides that might have been on the wood while it was growing. Again, with the furniture, where you put it is really up to you. I tend to put mine right about like that. It allows him space to crawl underneath it and hide. He can crawl on the actual wood itself. It allows him to get up to, this is going to be his basking spot right here where he's going to get closer to the light for better temperatures. Now, once again, this is something I used beforehand when he was smaller. Now that he's a little bit bigger, got the bigger terrarium, we stepped up to a larger size. Something I've recently added that Spike absolutely loves is the hammock. This is probably the best thing I've ever bought for him. He spends most of his days lounging in it. He sleeps in it most nights. As you can see, it suction cups to the glass. You got the suction cups there. And again, where you put it is really just up to where you feel it looks the best. Like I said, it suction cups right in, as you can see. Easily put in, centralized. It's going to be right underneath some of the lights that we're going to go over next. Next thing we're going to go over is quite possibly the most important part of your terrarium. It's going to be the heating and the lighting. Now, bearded dragons require very specific heats. In a basking side, you want up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit, the basking point. Like I mentioned earlier, his basking point is going to be right here across the top, about 113 degrees. The cool side is going to be about 86 degrees. It gives them the variations of the temperatures within the terrarium or vivarium. Allows him to really regulate his body temperature. Now what I use for heat is this what's called a double dome heat lamp. As you can see, it's got two domes. One's going to be for the white light for the day and the red light for the night. This allows the night light, the red, it's in a spectrum that the lizard really can't see, so it doesn't affect the moon phasing and the sleep cycle, but it also provides enough heat. What I use is it's just a basic little hook system here that I actually bought from Petco. That it's really easy. It just hangs the light right here, and it holds the light for you. It's really what it was designed to do. And then I have inline switches to turn the lights on. Next, what we're going to go over is going to be the UV lighting. UV lighting is another very important part of your bearded dragon's life. It's how they get the vitamin D, it's how they survive. Without UV lights, they get sick, and it causes death after a while. I have two different types that I use here. I use two UV lights right now because I do have a split style design terrarium, as you can see. Open on the two sides, here and here. And then I have glass in the middle. The glass in the middle prevents UV light from actually penetrating into the terrarium to give him the vitamin D he needs. So I put one light on each side. The first light I'm going to go over is the larger one here. It's a neon light style UV light. As you can see, it looks a lot like the neon lights that you would see in a garage or at a bar. I just set it across here. It's got a small switch on the back to turn it on. He's got UV light on one side. Now for the other side here, I have a smaller, it's a standard socket size light that produces UV. It looks a lot like a regular light bulb that you get for the house, but it produces UV light. Another switch on the back. Now for this side, for his basking side, that's where I put the smaller light here. That way he's got the heat and the UV on his basking side. As you can see here, I have the longer one on this side to provide UV lights all the way across the terrarium. Now once again, my name is Steven. I'd like to thank you for watching my demonstration on one way to set up a bearded dragon enclosure. Like I said, a lot of how you put it inside, what you put inside is up to you. It's really what is most appealing to you. Thank you.